Mom's rights have been terminated on Holler Jackson.
Oh, there you go. Okay, Shannon, you can put us on the record.
Okay, go ahead.
This is a matter of Vala Holler Jackson. Let's see, we've got Ms. Denke here for father. Father's also, oh, I didn't let him in. Oh yeah, here he is.
No, he's
Mr.
there.
Holler's present. Yep, sorry. We've got Ms. Tucker representing the petitioner. I don't have a worker here this morning, but we're just here on a pretrial. I don't think I need one. Mr. Brown is LGAL. So in our off-the-record conversation, we talked about the possibility of when we could start rescheduling jury trials is what we're waiting on in this matter. And I can't say with any certainty, but I'm reasonably confident we'll have a better picture of that in after the 1st of July. So what I'm going to do is adjourn the pretrial until our first date in July, which is
The 13th.
July 13th at 8:30. And at that time, hopefully I'll be able to give you a solid indication of when we can resume jury trials. I also understand from the off-the-record conversation with attorneys that a request has been made for the minor child to travel out of state. And I believe there's been no objection to that. Is that correct?
Correct.
That is correct, Judge. My understanding, she's been fully vaccinated or is in the process, and my client has no objection once that has happened.
And out of state would be to Florida if you want to get specific as to where they're going.
I just got email confirmation that she is fully vaccinated, or will be fully vaccinated in 2 weeks.
Perfect.
Great. All right, we can include that in the order that the minor child is permitted to travel to Florida with the rest of the family. Okay, and I think there's really nothing else for us to address on this file today, correct?
Correct. Thank you,
All right, we'll
Judge.
see you back. Thank you. We'll see you back here in July.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And let's see. Next up is Shipe. And I know we've got Mr. Shipe. Let me let him in. I've got Justine Spiegelberg. And looks like everyone else is on the next case. Well, wait a minute. I've got Scott Norkey there. I'm not sure what file he's on. I'm going to let him in and see.
He's my supervisor.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll let him in. Thank you. Looks like he might be zooming in from Cabela's. I'm not quite sure.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning, Mr. Norkey. How are you?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
Yes, well, thank you. So this is a matter of Miles Shipe. We've got Ms. Tucker for the petitioner, Mr. Brown's LGAL, and Mr. Weed on behalf of the father, and the father is also present. Justine Spiegelberg and Scott Norkey. This is another one where we're waiting on when we can schedule a jury trial. I won't repeat what I just said, although Mr. Scheid didn't hear it. So we're going to hopefully have a much better picture in July. Looks like unless something terribly turns in the wrong direction, come July 1st, things are going to loosen up quite a bit. And hopefully we'll be able to pick a trial date at that time. I'm going to adjourn the pretrial to July 13th, was it?
Yep.
At 8:30. And I don't recall whether there's anything else we really need to put on the record today.
I guess, Your Honor, just I did make the request. I did make the request to Matt Way. I know there's that Ms. Tucker is on this case. Just a request for CT scans from January 16th, 2020, and then University of Michigan MRI scans of the child's head, and then any photos that were actually taken by Dr. Moore. Just seems like the ones that I received, I believe to be pictures that were taken from the police officers, but not the doctor. So she's already reached out to the agency, and they're putting that together, is my understanding.
That's correct, Your Honor. The worker is making an additional request for those additional results and photos today.
Very well. Well, hopefully when we come back, there won't be any remaining discovery issues, and we'll certainly be in a much better position to figure out when we can do a jury trial. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Have a good day.
Thank you, and you as well.
Okay, next up, it's not on the docket. It is for this afternoon, is the Turner Wilkes matter. The trial is being adjourned or has been adjourned, but I understand there's a concern about one of the child's visits. So Ms. Tucker, well, wait a minute, I better let everybody else in.
Oh, yep, that's how the benches be looking like too.
The worker for this case probably isn't going to be present, Your Honor. I was just going to state our concerns on the record in her place.
Okay, fair enough. Well, we don't have Ms. McCluskey here either, probably because she wasn't expecting, she is LGAL on this file. Can someone get a quick message to her? It'd probably be better if we had her here.
I'll sit in for her if you find that acceptable.
As long as there's no objection, that's fine with me.
No objection.
I have no objection.
Okay, so Mr. Hotchkiss, you represent?
Christopher Wilkes, father, Your Honor.
Okay. Go ahead, Ms. Tucker.
Thank you. As it relates to Samaya Turner, the agency would request suspended parenting time between her and Mr. Wilkes. Samaya has reported being afraid of Mr. Wilkes and has stated that she has no desire to have parenting time with him. As it relates to the other children, we would request that the supervised parenting time continue. Thank you.
I was looking at the order. It says Mr. Wilkes is putative as to Samaya. Is that still true?
No, Your Honor, we had filed an affidavit of parentage, and I don't know if it's been received back from the state, but I provided a copy of that to Ms. Tucker, I think yesterday or the day before.
That is correct, Your Honor. I did receive a copy yesterday.
All right. We'll make sure that gets corrected. Thank you.
Your Honor, and on behalf of my client, with respect to the agency's request, my client has no objection to their request at this time. Thank you.
And Mr. Brown?
Everyone's in agreement. I'm sure Ms. McCluskey would be in agreement also.
So we have a child that's frankly been refusing visits, hasn't participated as a result of that. I think putting her through the ordeal of making her refuse a visit every time the opportunity comes up is not helpful for the child. I will grant the request and suspend visits as to Samaya only.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Judge.
Thank you.
I'm sure Shannon's probably already identified an adjourned date for you for this trial.
I have not, Your Honor.
Oh, we're still working on that.
Well, I can give you one right now,
Okay.
if you would like me to do that now. Our next available date would be July 13th at 1:15.
July 13 at 1:15.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. That concludes our pre-trials and unscheduled matters. And I think that brings us to the Moore Jackson file. And hold on just a second. Looks like I've got everyone here for this. Mr. Brown is LGAL, Ms. Tucker for the agency. Keith is present. Good morning, Keith. And Mr. Brown, can you tell me how Keith is doing?
Oh, Judge, based upon the report, it indicates that he is doing better, that he has moved up a level. So I am pleased with that. However, I have not been able to speak with Keith for the last two report periods. The last report period, the Havenwick agency, their phones were down. And this period, I left a message with the number that I was given on, I believe, Thursday, and I have not received a return call back. So frankly, I don't know what to do. I am going to ask that the worker, Ms. Wagner, give the contact person at Havenwick my email address for the next court proceeding. Email me with an appointment to speak with Keith when at their convenience, and I will make myself available whenever that may be.
Your Honor.
All right.
May I
Yes.
speak? This is Dr. Miller. Keith called the attorney yesterday. The attorney's secretary took the message. So we did try to reach you. Right after we got the message on Thursday, we tried to reach you when I gave Keith the message. You can certainly come and see him at any point. You are certainly allowed to call him on the unit. You can certainly have contact in any way. I can certainly set up a virtual too.
If you would, that would be fine. If you can give me the, maybe email me the telephone number that I'm supposed to contact. I won't say it over YouTube, but I left my work cell number. So I was not in to work on Friday, so I didn't get the message. But that's not the number that I left on whoever's message.
It was mine.
Okay, I left my cell number, and so hopefully we can get that rectified. And if you would email me with the number I'm supposed to call, that would be great.
Sure. Could you email me your email address? That would be great.
I can send it. I'll send it to you.
Well,
okay, thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Wagner.
You're welcome.
And Ms. Wagner, do you have any additional information beyond your report?
I do not.
Dr. Miller, do you?
No, I'm just very proud of Keith for the improvements he's made. He really has turned the corner as far as his behavior, and is really putting forth an effort. You can see his grades in school are all A's. His behavior is an attempt to be a leader on the unit. It doesn't mean his levels are up there or that he's completed the assignments totally, but he certainly has made remarkable changes in his behavior for our program.
That's wonderful. Great, Keith.
Keith, I did notice your grades. Congratulations. Looks like you're working hard. Was there anything you wanted to say this morning?
No, Your Honor.
All right, well, keep up the good work. I'm glad to see you're making progress. We're going to implement the recommendations, and we'll set our next review hearing. Hold on. Oh, there's the last page. I got it sandwiched. August 17th at 9 a.m. Thank you, everyone.
And Keith, if you ever want to call me, feel free. It doesn't have to be the just before a hearing. So if you feel as though you want to speak with me, pick up the phone.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Next up is Jayden Reyes. I see Ms. Watson is here. I also see Kayla Upham. Is she, I don't see her listed somewhere. Is she on this case?
She's probably here for the Dowell Williamson case. She's the supervisor on that case.
Oh, okay. I think I'll just go ahead and let her in. There isn't anyone else out there, so. Oh, here comes Mr. Kelly. Just in time, but we still do not have Ms. McCluskey, and we need her. So if someone could shoot her a quick message. Oh, there she is. Never mind. I just had Flint Odyssey House sign in. What file would that be?
That's on Patrick, Your Honor. We have a 915 for that one.
Okay, thank you. All right, this is the matter of Jayden Reyes. Mr. Kelly's LGAL. Ms. McCluskey represents mom. Ms. Tucker represents the agency. And let's see. Ms. Shauna Watson on behalf of the agency as well. And I think that's everybody. Well, let me ask you first, Mr. Kelly. How is Jayden doing?
Your Honor, I'd spoken with placement. She has no concerns. Jayden is progressing rather well. She's sleeping most of the night. Baby teeth are coming in. They have things that they're working on at home as early on was not needed, as the court can see in the report. I've reviewed the report and the recommendations. I have no objection to a goal change at this point, Your Honor. It's not like this is a new case. This is the same requirements that have been requested of this mother for years now, and we're still having issues. No further comment at this time. Thank you.
Ms. McCluskey?
Thank you, Your Honor. I tried a couple, 3 or 4 times to reach out to my client, and again yesterday, and someone kept answering the phone and hanging up, so I was not able to discuss the court report with her. So I would have no comment. Thank you.
Hey, Ms. Watson, you are still seeking a goal change this morning?
That is correct. I did want to let you know, I was able to reach Ms. Reyes and meet with her and give her a copy of the court report, so she is aware of the recommendation and the recommendation of a goal change. But Your Honor, I also wanted to update you that we did get the results back of the paternity testing, and it did confirm that your Curtis is the biological father. I was able to, as I said, meet with Ms. Reyes to review the recommendations, but also she signed an affidavit of parentage, and I am scheduled to meet with Mr. I believe it's Pettick, Marcus, this afternoon, and he would also like to sign an affidavit of parentage. I would like to submit a petition to make him a respondent as well.
All right, hopefully we can get all of that accomplished.
Do we have any?
Kind of.
Do we have any question as to whether or not this guy is actually dad, or is this someone mom's just naming, knowing the ship is sinking at this point?
She just said there was a confirmed paternity test.
Okay, I missed that part. Thank you, Judge.
Okay, Shannon, you had given us just a week from now. Why don't we give that a couple weeks for a termination petition, and that will give sufficient opportunity to get a affidavit filed. Then we need to well, let me ask you, as to dad, I'm assuming it's not going to be a permanent request.
My assumption would be that that would not be supported by the court, so we were just going to be making him a respondent at this time.
I guess before we move forward on mom, given her current level of engagement or non-engagement is probably more accurate, I wouldn't have hesitated ordering a goal change. However, if we're going to need an opportunity to service dad, I don't see any need to rush forward with mom unless you've got a strong desire to do so.
No, Your Honor, the timing is definitely interesting now with the father being established as the legal father. And of course, that happened after we submitted the petition. I mean, after we submitted the court report, my apologies.
Okay, well, let's do that. I think a goal change is certainly appropriate as to mom, but I don't want to move forward with termination while we're still dealing with dad. So what I'd like to do is simply give you a date. Actually, I'm just kind of thinking out loud, sorry. Okay. Just get an amended petition in as soon as you can. I'm not going to give you a deadline for that. Once you get paternity established, and then we'll move forward as to dad. We're going to have to adjudicate him. In the meantime, I think we'll hold off on the goal change for mom. I'll set a review hearing August 17th at 9 a.m. We'll continue services for mom if she's willing to participate. She's been pretty sketchy, and I don't expect that to change, but who knows? Once you get a petition in for dad, we'll get a pretrial scheduled and a date for adjudication, get an attorney appointed for him. And we'll proceed with the understanding that, you know, if dad steps up, I'm not sure what I'll ultimately do with mom, but if he doesn't, would handle any termination hearing probably simultaneously. I don't like to terminate one parent when I still got a viable parent in the game. You never know what'll happen. And we don't know whether we've got a viable parent. We only know we've got soon to be a legal parent. So we'll just have to take it a step at a time. Okay, so I'll set that review hearing for August 17th at 9 a.m. And I'll watch for the amended petition, I guess. Anything else the court needs to address today?
No, thank you.
No, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next up is Angelica Towers. So Mr. Hotchkiss is LGAL on this one. It is a dependency petition, so the only other attorney involved is Ms. Tucker for the agency. I'm looking to see if there's anybody in the waiting room that might be connected.
Your Honor, I do think that placement was going to try to hop on with Angelica. I'm not sure. It might be under Amber, maybe.
Well, here's what I've got. I've got Marla's iPhone. That's the only one. Everyone else, Michelle Aroka, Cassandra McGinn is on a ed neglect case, I believe. Odyssey House, I think, has already been identified as being another case. So let me see who's on Marla's iPhone. We're having trouble making. I do have Amber Burns.
That's her. Yep, that's placement.
All right.
Thank you.
We'll just let this other one spin, and when I get a connection, I'll find out who that is. Good morning.
Good morning.
Angelica?
Yeah,
How are you?
good.
Okay, it looks like we've got everyone here finally. So, Mr. Hotchkiss, how's Amber doing from your perspective?
Honor, I spoke with Angelica. She's currently at Pathways, as the court knows. She doesn't really perceive that Pathways is offering her much that's helpful to her. I will indicate that she told me that she has not been taking her medication, I think, for approximately a month now. I think the report at that time was a few days, but it's up to a month now. She tells me that she's not engaged in any therapy or any counseling services, but the report also references that she missed an appointment with a psychiatrist, so I'm not sure of the status there. Angelica's preferences is that she be placed with her sister Julie, who's out of state. I think there's been some ICPC problems in that the referring state needs something from Michigan in the residential placement stating that Angelica is ready to be placed there. So I think there's a hiccup there, and I'm not sure whether or not Ms. McGuire can help us with that. But right now, it just looks like Angelica is kind of housed there. She's not really making any progress, at least by her own admission. So I don't know that there's any kind of this isn't a situation where I think Angelica needs a special advocate. her sister Julie may be a great placement for her, but we've just got some procedural issues to get over before we get that far. But other than that, having reviewed the report, having spoken with Angelica, I'm in support of the recommendations. Thank you.
So Angelica, I do have the ability, Mr. Hotchkiss's role as LGAL is to advocate for your best interests, which isn't necessarily what you might think to be in your best interest, but that's what he's charged with by law. I am able to appoint, if you request, a special advocate. This is somebody who would actually represent you. Whoever it is that I would appoint would actually advocate for the course of action that you would like the court to take, as opposed to what Mr. Hotchkiss might think is in your best interest. So do you understand the distinction I just made?
Yeah.
Would you like the court to appoint a special advocate for you?
Sure.
Okay, we'll do that. Shannon, who would that be?
Ivan.
Mr. Ivan Brown, who's present today, is the next up on the list. So what I'm going to do is give the two of you just a brief chance this morning. I'm going to put you in a private meeting room so you and Mr. Brown can have a private conversation. And then after that, when you're done, just come back into the meeting room and I'll hear whatever Mr. Brown might be advocating on your behalf as opposed to what's in your best interest.
Okay.
So I'm going to set up that breakout room right now.
Do you have your probation officer's number? Yes, you want to.
Angelica, do you have the ability to have a private conversation? Is there anyone else in the room with you?
No.
All right, good. I want to make sure that you can have a private conversation that no one else can hear.
Okay.
So when you see the instruction pop up on the screen, it'll give you the option of joining this breakout room. Just go ahead and do that. And then when you're done, it'll give you the option of coming back into the courtroom, okay?
Okay. It just popped up.
All right, we'll sit tight on that file and move to the next one then. And the next one is the Allard Highland matter. And let's see. That's the one that the Odyssey House is for?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and let me see who else I have. Ms. Aroka, I think, is already here. Nope, there she is.
And she may be able to tell you some family members that are on the call as well.
Good morning, Ms. Aroka. Are there some others who you expect to participate this morning?
I believe that placement grandma Tony Patrick was planning on being on.
I don't see anyone by that name. All I have is Marla's iPhone that I wasn't able to identify. I just put her. I can ask who that. Does anybody recognize who that is?
I'm texting placement right now to see what she's under.
Okay, I just let Marla's iPhone in. What is your name?
Marla Williamson.
Marla Williamson, okay. All right, hold on. I'm gonna rename so I know that. All right, and I'm gonna put you back in the waiting room until we call your case, okay? All right, it doesn't look like we have any other person to participate in this file, so it's up. I'm not sure why the case is in front of me. Ms. Tucker, do you want to?
Yes, Your Honor. I believe this got brought up last week or 2 weeks ago. I don't recall the exact date now. We had adjourned the trial, but we wanted to talk about parenting time. We had discussed it briefly in chamber, and I think the court wanted to wait until the parents could be present, as well as the worker, to give more details on why we're requesting a change in parenting time. So as it relates to that, I would defer to.
For just a second. Kelly, I've got Shannon talking to me and I can't listen to both of you
I
at the
think we're
same
missing
time.
Ivan on this one.
Mr. Brown's here.
I thought he was in a breakout.
He came out.
My bad, I'm very sorry. Go ahead.
All right, now, I do see a telephone number that just dialed in. Let me see who that is. I just let in someone on a telephone ending in 9432. What is your name?
Randy Gundy, in foster mom Lou.
Mandy?
No, Brandy. Randy
Randy,
Gundy.
sorry. All right, I'm going to put a name on the screen so I remember that. Actually, so I don't have to remember it. I can actually see it. Okay. All right, I think we now have everyone here on Allard Highland Minors. And let me see, I better identify everyone. Mr. Brown represents the father. Mr. Kelly represents the mother. Mr. Hotchkiss is LGAL. Mr. for the agency. And also from the agency, Michelle Aroka. And Ms. Gundy, you are placement of one of the children?
That's on Williamson.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right, ma'am, I'm gonna put you back in the waiting room, but I'll bring you back in when we call that case.
Can we do something about whoever's background noise is? I can barely hear.
Yeah, it's Mr. Kelly. I just muted him. He's shaking his head, but as soon as I muted him, the sound went away. Okay. Ms. Tucker, go ahead with your request regarding parenting time.
Yes, Your Honor. I would defer to Ms. Arocha for more of the details on parenting time, but we would be requesting suspended parenting time as to the parents in this case, given some of the reactions that the children are having to parenting time as it exists right now. So, Ms. Arocha, would you be able to provide more detail as to some of the incidents that have occurred?
Sure, I can do that. So we wanted to address some issues that have arisen with parenting time since the last court hearing. The courts gave the agency discretion to allow in-person parenting time prior to last week's court hearing, which was the date set for the termination trial. So the agency wanted to allow in-person parenting time to occur relatively quickly. However, the first parenting time was nothing short of a disaster. It had to be ended after 15 minutes as Dustin Jr., who the family refers to as Christopher, was inconsolable and wanted only his grandmother. We again offered in-person parenting time for the next 2 weeks. Christopher was again extremely upset for the start of the visit, crying for grandma. The parenting coach was able to get him calmed down enough to play with some toys in the visitation room. Phone calls are also not going well. The children have no desire to pay attention they don't have the attention span to sit by the phone for 10 minutes. Although it seems that the in-person visits have improved with the kids not being so upset after a while, the agency is more concerned with the behaviors that the children are displaying after the visits. Christopher has always used his grandmother as a source of comfort, yet after visits, he becomes very defiant, almost uncontrollable. He doesn't listen or follow directions. Haley was fully potty trained prior to visits starting. However, since in-person parenting time has occurred, she started to regress. She started having accidents, not just at home, but also at school. The agency has also put a therapist in the home for Haley and Christopher to address these concerns. She just started a week and a half ago, though, so she hasn't had much time to work with the kids. Therefore, the agency is requesting suspended visits, as it's extremely concerning that the children who were thriving in placement are beginning to show regressive behaviors, at least until the time that the therapist has more time to work with the children and work through these concerns.
What about Garrett? I didn't hear anything about him.
Garrett's parenting time has already been suspended based on the recommendation from his therapist prior to the last court hearing.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Rocha. Mr. Kelly, did you have any questions for Ms. Rocha?
No. Your Honor, Garrett's 9, and at least 4 different occasions when they were having Zoom calls, he's walking through the screen in the background looking into the camera. So him having suspended parenting time kind of looks like he's curious to see what his mom's up to and potentially communicate with her. So maybe that should be revisited. The other thing you have to keep in mind, Your Honor, is Christopher is 2 years old. The other child is 3. Is it a shock to anyone that you can't keep a 3 or a 2-year-old satisfied during a video call? I've had, and I'm sure Mr. Brown and Mr. Hotchkiss can also attest to this in the divorce cases with the pandemic going on. There's been a lot of issues with children, even kindergarten age children, doing Zoom or having school over Zoom, keeping their attention, and they're 6, 7 years old. Do you expect more from a 2 and 3-year-old? That's a little much. And in regards to Christopher having a difficult time in the first few visits, yes, the visits have gone great lately. But you also have to keep in mind, Your Honor, they haven't seen their mother in person in over 6 to 7 months. They've had sporadic contact and very minimal contact with her, 15, 20 minutes or so, if they can keep their attention that long over the video. Yet our solution to this is to cut off all contact with mom. That doesn't exactly make too much sense. It's my understanding that the parenting time has been going rather well lately. It's understandable that you can't blame parenting time with in person that is now going well on mom because of what's happening in the home. It's not like she can teach a 2-year-old to be defiant to her mother. It's not like she can teach a 3-year-old to have other difficulties within the home. She's 3, she has accidents. My children, after they were potty trained, still had accidents. You couldn't blame it on something as random as they're having parenting time, and that's the reason they're having those accidents, because it's in person. I can see this as a setup, Your Honor. I can see this as one of the questions that will come out in the termination trial. So the court suspended parenting time about a month ago, right? Yep. Have you checked with a grandma on how the kids are doing at home? Oh yeah, they're doing great. I can see that coming. Your Honor, they're doing well in their parenting time now. It's understandable they might be having some regression or issues at home because they're finally seeing their mother at home. You can't blame it on the parenting time. It could be they want to be with their mom. Again, they're 2 and 3 years old. I think it's premature to even consider this. I think the court should reconsider allowing Garrett to have contact with his mother. We have a termination trial coming up in, I believe, 3 weeks. I'd request that you continue with the parenting time ordered as is. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hotchkiss?
Thank you. I have had an opportunity to speak with placement, the maternal grandmother. Ms. Patrick advised pretty much the same things that the caseworker told me about. The one distinction that she made was she didn't believe that all of Haley's potty training issues were accidents. She saw some of it as intentional. It gave an example where she just would go over and pee on the floor, looked to her like more of an acting out as opposed to an accident. You have to remember that these two younger children have pretty much been in grandma's care their whole life. So to say that this is because they want to be with their mother, miss their mother, grandmother's home has pretty much been their home. Other than a short attempt at having the children returned. So really for all those reasons, the reasons that the caseworkers outlined, I would support the agency's request. Thank
you. Regardless whether the reason these two children are having troubles around visits is because they don't want to be separated from their mother, or because they don't want to see their mother. The reality is we're 3 months away from 3 weeks away from a termination trial. I'm not going to put these children through any more of this. I'm suspending visits.
Thank you, Your Honor.
What's that trial date, Shannon?
Thank you, Your Honor.
July 22nd?
July 20th.
June 22nd.
I'm sorry, June 22nd.
June 22nd at 1:15.
Yes.
We'll see everyone back here then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. And let's go back on Angelica Towers. Let me get Angelica back in here. Okay, Mr. Brown, you've had a chance to speak with Angelica.
Yes.
What's your, would you wish to address the court?
Well, Judge, obviously I do not have the facts surrounding this case. If I'm going to continue being the special advocate, I would request that someone forward me the documents from day one, petition, reports, and so forth, so I can be brought up to speed as to what's occurring. Frankly, I'm not really sure why a special advocate is needed. The only issue is whether Angelica is going to be placed with her sister. It's Angelica's understanding that all the preliminary ICPC has been completed, background checks. So I would like to know what the holdup is, what's the impediment to placing her there, whether the lawyer guardian ad litem believes that that should occur. Thank you.
I've got a QRTP assessment dated April 1st that says that Angelica is in need of a structured clinical program, and that she could pose a safety risk in a family or less restrictive setting. Given that report, placing her with a relative doesn't sound like that's, at least in light of this report, in Angelica's best interest, even though that is her desire to be placed in that setting. Ms. McGuire, am I missing something here?
You're not, Your Honor. Except I will say on Angelica's part, I know that she continues to strive to amend her behavior so that she can be placed with her sister. That is a goal of hers that she consistently works on.
And that's certainly a goal that the court would have. I don't want to keep any child, any youth in a residential facility if indeed they are ready to be placed in a family-like setting. That's our goal. That's the objective here. That's what we're working towards. But my impression was she's not ready for that, but she still wants it to happen. That's why there's a special advocate, Mr. Brown.
Okay. If somebody will send me all the documents so I can review them, I would appreciate it.
I can do that, Mr. Brown.
Thank you.
All
Judge,
right.
one last thing on this file. I think we just need it, and Ms. McGuire, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think we just need it in the order that she needs placement in a qualified residential treatment program just to keep her where she is.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's something that's been, I know our scale forms got updated.
Correct.
Yeah, I think it's a box that needs to be checked now.
I'm looking for the box.
If I could say just one more thing when the court allows before we quit.
Go ahead. I do not see a box. I'll just make sure that language is included in the other section.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. Brown.
Yes, I would just ask if the caseworker could send me placement contacts, the contact person and the number, so I can speak with Angelica before the next hearing. Further, I would ask that some criteria be laid out, so Angelica is just not wandering aimlessly in her treatment, that there are, when she hits this goal after such a period of time, then we will consider placing her with her sister. There need to be some defined goals and criteria that when they're met, that she can work towards rather than just aimlessly leaving it up to fate when she can go. I think that will be helpful for her. It'll be helpful for everyone, and it'll put everybody on the same page as to what's expected, and when she meets that, then it'll be strongly considered. Thank you.
All right, and Ms. McGuire, you make sure that Mr. Brown gets everything he needs.
Will do.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So I will continue the current placements, make the necessary findings in my order. We'll set our next review hearing for August 17th at 9 a.m. Angelica, was there anything else that you wanted to say this morning?
No, sir.
All right. I hope you continue to make progress. That would be our goal for you. Wish you well. Have a good day.
You too.
you. Okay, Williamson and Dowell miners. And someone remind me what file Ms. Gundy is on?
This one.
All right, we'll make sure we let her in. All right, looks like we've got a connection with everyone. Is there anyone else we're expecting on this one?
The mother, Ashley.
Okay, I've got an iPhone. Let me see who's attached to that. I thought I clicked on the mother's name from the waiting room, but apparently she lost her connection. Because she's disappeared. There's also a Kathy Coe, C-O-E. Is she on this file?
It looks like Ashley just popped up. She's connecting to audio though.
Okay, I see that. So I'm not sure who that is with the iPhone. Let me find out. Someone's logged in under iPhone. Can you tell me what your name is, please? You'll need to unmute to do that.
I think it's Lawrence Williamson on my iPhone.
It's Kathy Coe.
Kathy, okay. I was gonna say, I had somebody logged in under the name Kathy Coe. So is that your name, ma'am?
Yes.
All right. Let me write that down. All right. Looks like we've got everyone here. Ms. Tucker represents the petitioner. Let's see. Ms. Kirkpatrick on behalf of the agency. Mr. Brown represents the mother, who's also present. Ms. McCluskey represents the father, who's also present. Mr. Kelly's LGAL. And I got a couple other people here. I'm not sure in what capacity they're here. I guess we'll worry about it as their names get identified. So let's start with Mr. Kelly. How are all these children doing?
Your Honor, Mom, it indicates to me that the children were removed and then she agreed to placement, I should say, and then they were returned to her recently. She acknowledges the difficulties that she was having. She advises that she's been waiting on a gap insurance so she can take care of her car issues and get herself an automobile, but she has transportation set up in the meantime. Understands and agrees to the safety plan that has been put in place. To be frank, I was surprised that the children were returned to Mom, considering the contents of the report. Prior placement, Ms. Coe, who's on with us this morning, had sent me an email indicating her concerns that she had in regards to her awareness of what has been going on in Mom's home. She also, when Alara was returned to her, she said that she came to her At that time had a bladder infection and vaginitis. The social worker was made aware of all these things, but believes that return home to the children to mom is appropriate. These kids can't be ping-ponged back and forth. They've already been returned to mom. I wasn't even aware that they were removed from mom, or mom agreed to placement elsewhere in the meantime. But regardless, they're back with mom now. I think a super short leash should be at this point in time. And if there is another removal, that we consider a goal change at that point. These kids do not deserve to be ping-ponged around at their age, considering they've had enough going on in their lives. They need stability. Mom needs to provide it. If she can't do it, then we need to find someone who can. Thank you, Judge.
So, Ms. Well, wait a minute. Who are we? Ms. Kirkpatrick. After I read the report, I kind of had the same reaction Mr. Kelly did. There's a lot going on in this home that's very concerning, particularly given the stage that we're at. I was hoping that we'd be looking forward to closing this case. And if anything, it looks like we're going in the wrong direction. What level of confidence do you have that we're not just creating more turmoil for these children?
Judge, I cannot hear very well. I don't know who that is. I'm sorry. It's just background feed.
I think there's some kind of feed coming through Mr. Kelly's, because when I mute him, it goes away. It might be some kind of an electronic issue, because it's clear that he doesn't hear it, but it's definitely there. So I went ahead and muted him. Mr. Kelly, just unmute when you need to say something. So.
Yes, I absolutely wholeheartedly agree with Mr. Kelly, and also you as well.
Your Honor, if I could interject for Ms. Kirkpatrick and just kind of give my 2 cents. I did meet with the agency last week, I think it was last week, about this case and some of the concerns that were going on. The discussion at that time was whether to formally remove the children or to continue with the safety plan until mom addressed some of the issues. I'm very concerned about mom's behaviors, particularly given some of the people that she's chose to have in her home recently. But to me, filing for a formal removal at this time would really only lead to a termination. And I'm just not sure we have enough for termination at this point. So for that reason, I was against a formal removal of the children. And I did advise the agency as to that. And we did have a long discussion about the pros and cons of doing that at this time. So with that in mind, the issue of not removing the children is something that we had discussed and ultimately decided against. As it relates to returning the children to mom recently, I guess I would have Ms. Kirkpatrick give those details. But my understanding was the safety plan was set to expire early this week or late last week. And that's when the children were given back to her. I do not know the current status of some of the issues that she was having in terms of having another male in her home that we were extremely concerned about. Ms. Kirkpatrick can give those details, of course, but I wanted the court to have kind of my thought process on it and what I did advise the agency to.
Thank you. I will speak to the children going back. After our meeting with Ms. Tucker and DHS, we scheduled a team decision-making meeting for the following day, which occurred on the 19th, Wednesday. By that time, the children were safety planned out of the home for two days. Based on our meeting with Ms. Tucker, we went in to the team decision-making meeting, what are we safety planning for? Because this safety plan has to be very specific, very thorough, and Ms. Duke has to understand the seriousness. In order for family reunification services to continue, we had to identify new goals for the family, and the children had to be back in their mother's home within 7 days. So yesterday afternoon, all 3 children went back home. I met with Ashley this past Friday, reviewed the safety plan with her. And I mean, that's basically where we're at. I mean, the safety plan is 2 pages long, 2.5 pages long. I mean, it's very thorough. I can review it with the court, or I can provide it to all of the attorneys and the court. Either way.
I think at this point, if you would provide copies, it would be helpful, because I suspect we're going to be back here again talking about non-compliance with the safety plan. I have serious concerns at this stage, not as much with Ms. Dowell's desire, but with her ability to have the multitude of issues we are seeing when you're under essentially the microscope of FRP and DHHS. Gives me zero confidence that when that microscope is removed, that anything good is going to happen. So I have those concerns. So, Mr. Brown, obviously you want a chance to weigh in on this. Let me give you that.
Yes, I would ask Ms. Kirkpatrick, when you went over the goals and safety plan with Ms. Dowell Duke, was she receptive, and do you think she understood and got what's expected of her with regard to what you have put forth to her?
In my experience in working with Ashley, she's always been extremely receptive. She presents as someone who understands and is willing to do whatever she needs to do, whatever we're asking her to do. So yeah, she was absolutely receptive and understanding of everything within the safety plan. When I reviewed it with her this past Friday.
Did you let her know that at this stage, bringing any male into the home, having cigarette butts in the home, home in disarray is just unacceptable? And did she indicate to you that she would comply?
Yes, and okay. Yes.
Okay, Judge.
But she has also done that in the past.
But there hasn't been really concerns in the past because the children weren't there.
I mean, in the past, as in since the children were returned, she would seem to be compliant, and that was just not, it was untruthful.
Okay, Judge, with regard to what's been occurring, I won't attempt to minimize it, but throughout this case, Ms. Dowell has done everything that's been asked of her. You can see there's just quite a few little things, and taken as a whole, I see where there are concerns, but I don't think any one of these things is overwhelmingly concerning and cannot be overcome. Lucian's school, that can be, she had a car accident and had transportation issues. Obviously, I don't know what my client was thinking by having a male in the home, but that's easy to rectify. Don't do it. And I hope she gets that. The other issue that she was having Lucian call or speak with his father over the telephone, that's an innocent mistake. And I don't see really what is so concerning about him having a phone conversation. Other than that, unless I'm missing something, I don't see much else. That allegedly there was a urinary tract infection and dehydration. I don't know who gave the diagnosis of dehydration and a urinary tract infection, but these things happen. Other than that, I don't see any huge issue. Be that as it may, I think my client gets it. These things won't occur anymore. Thank you.
All right. Does anyone else want to weigh in before I
would just
address
like to, Alera was taken to her pediatrician and she did have a urinary tract infection along with vaginitis, which is fairly common in all ages of girls and women. However, coupled with the urinary tract infection, she was having so many potty accidents, and the agency is concerned that, you know, the vaginitis developed from having so many potty accidents and not being cleaned appropriately after each potty accident. I mean, urinary tract infection, you're going to the bathroom almost constantly, and it's not very much at a time. And, you know, a lot of these concerns may seem, you know, small, but amounted together, they are very serious, especially the amount of school that Lucian has missed and the lack of willingness on Ashley's part to develop a secure solution. She was in a car accident in March. Lucian was missing school prior to her car accident. This isn't just an issue that was caused by something out of her control. These are all issues that are absolutely in her control. And that is where the concern lies.
All right, thank you. Well, as I've already indicated, yes, any one of these concerns by itself would be far less concerning, but the multitude of concerns, especially again when you're under the microscope, gives the court significant pause for what's going to happen when you're no longer under the microscope. These are all things that can be addressed. And at some point, if things don't get turned around there, we're going to have to look at more serious steps. That's the last thing I think that anybody wants. The best thing for these children is to be in their home with their mother. But it's got to be a safe home in all respects. So with that warning, I'm going to implement the recommendations. Looks like we're a ways away from closing this case. I want to see full compliance with the service plan and with that safety plan between now and the next hearing. That's going to be August 17th at 8:45.
Would you make sure my client knows that and knows what the possible ramifications are, that it's termination if she does not do what she's supposed to do?
Well, if that wasn't clear in what I already said, that's exactly what I meant by what happens if this doesn't turn around. We're well along in this process. And if there has to be another removal, I reasonably expect that the goal change will happen at that time, and we will be moving to termination of parental rights. So this is critical. There has to be absolute compliance with the safety plan, with this court's order, with all of the services that are being provided, so that I've got some confidence that when I do let this case go, it doesn't get reopened a month later, because we're right back into the same mess that brought us here in the first place, or at least aspects of that mess. I realize there's other components involved, but I hope that message is received, and I genuinely hope that that's not where we go. I think reunification is best, that in the home of a parent is best, provided that home is safe, and I'm going to need assurances that that home is going to remain safe. So again, August 17th at 8:45.
Your Honor, I'm sorry.
Yes.
So Lucian's biological father, Lawrence Williamson, is, I believe, wanted to address the court as well. I did discuss with Ms. Tucker that adjudication did occur. I was afraid that it hadn't, but it did back in January of 2020, I believe. But I do believe he has some questions for the court.
If I understand correctly, Your Honor, and again, I'm coming in the middle of this case, he was previously adjudicated on, but has been rather absent, and this may be the first, or at least a court hearing that he's attended in quite a while. So I believe this may be the first time the court has had an opportunity to even speak to him.
Yes, I haven't been
Hold on, Mr. Williamson. I want to get something clear. Ms. McCluskey, you represent the other father?
I do, Your Honor. Mr. Dowell.
All right. Mr. Williamson, go ahead and unmute. Let me, before you say anything, you certainly are entitled to be represented by an attorney in this matter, either one of your choosing or one appointed for you by the court. Do you wish to have the court appoint someone to represent you?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Next, it's got to be Ken.
All right, Mr. Hotchkiss. I'm going to appoint you to represent Mr. Williamson. And I'm going to, would you like an opportunity to speak with him right now?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to create a breakout room. Mr.
When they come back, can you please get his information so I can fill out his form?
I can get it before I put him in there. That way I don't forget. So I'm going to create a breakout room. For you and Mr. Hotchkiss to give you a chance to talk privately. But before I put you in there, I need some basic information from you. Not sure I want to do this on the record, Shannon.
Oh, that's fine.
Mr. Hotchkiss, when I put you in the breakout room, could you please collect some information from Mr. Williamson and forward it to Shannon?
Certainly.
We're gonna need a mailing address, a telephone number, an employer.
Mailing address and phone number is just fine.
All right. And then just email that to Shannon. That way we don't have to put anything like that on the record.
Will do.
Thank you, Ken.
Can you include me in that just so I
Yeah,
can put it in
sure.
our file?
Will do, Kelly.
Thank you.
Okay, I've opened the room. Mr. Williamson, just follow the instructions on your screen. When I see you and Mr. Hotchkiss back in, I know I'll be able to continue with this case. Okay, so let's sit tight on that one. Let me move, if I can. I think I can to the ed neglect cases. First up would be Kenneth Lewis. Mr. Brown, you're LGAL on that one.
I have a phone number for Dad as well, Your Honor.
Oh, okay. Hold on a minute. Let me. Kylie. I don't think there's a Kylie on this one. Ms. Coppernoll, it looks like I let you in just a little bit early. You're here on the Peterson matter, correct?
Yes, she is, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. I had Caitlin in here earlier, but I don't see her now. But in any event, go ahead and give me Mr. Lewis's phone number.
626-207-8005.
Well, the line was busy. In this matter, I have received a report from the early truancy specialist, Ms. J.L. Richardson. This case is one that we'd held open for monitoring. She was able to make contact with Mr. Lewis. The report we got that Kenneth's attendance has been phenomenal. Back to in-person school on 3/19 and has only missed 2 days since then. The recommendation is that the case be closed. Is there any objection to that?
No objection.
All right, this case is closed. And let's see. Next ed neglect pretrial is Zaire Kayer and Serenity Hayes. Our early intervention specialist has been unable to make contact with this family. I don't have anyone else here from the school, so I'm not sure whether we're still experiencing attendance issues. Ms. Tucker, do you have any information for the court?
I do not, other than what the court has already reported.
I do. Miss McGinn was in the waiting room. She, I think, is on this, but this is the case where mother reportedly moved to Eaton County. She was in a shelter, or purportedly in a shelter. And the only verification we have of that is mom's word. She won't make herself available. This is concerning, that she won't make herself available. Before we close this or potentially close this, we need some assurance that she's in Eaton County, because I know that you have to request prior school records before you're in another school. So the authorities should know about this. Something doesn't smell right in this matter. So, and just to drop it, these kids may grow up never going to school. Thank you.
So I did see Ms. Oh, there she is. She's back. Great. Let me get her in. Good morning, Ms. McGinn.
Good morning, Your Honor.
We're here on the Hayes children.
Yes, sir.
Our intervention specialist was unable to make contact with this family. Do you have any updated information?
I have tried multiple times to contact mother as well. I've tried contacting the aunt, and there is also a friend. Brian is his name. I did speak with him this morning, and he said he has tried contacting mom, and I guess her phone is shut off. So I have had zero contact. I've tried multiple times with mom. I even contacted the shelter in which she said that she was at, and of course they cannot confirm or deny that anyone is there by that name. But I did let them know that if there is, please have her contact me. And I still have not heard from her whatsoever.
Have you made any attempt to contact Eaton Rapids Schools to see whether or not she's tried to enroll the children there?
I have not contacted the school.
I think that's what Mr. Brown was reminding us of, is the last word we had was that the shelter she was in Eaton County. And therefore, that's where, if she's in a shelter there, that's what I would expect it would be where she would try to enroll the children.
Right.
Ms. McGinn, in order to enroll in another district, she would have to request the records from our district, correct?
I believe so, yes.
Has there been any request of our district to procure those records?
Not that I'm aware of.
Would you be aware of that if it occurred?
I can look at the school's log information. I have not contacted the Jackson County School either to ask if it has, but I don't see it in their log.
I would ask that we issue a bench warrant for mom. If the shelter won't give her the message or can't give out that information, or mom won't return the school official's call, then maybe we can do a welfare check at the shelter and have her brought in here.
Well, one thing we can try is I can put in the court order that the shelter is ordered to reveal to the ISD whether or not the mother is in fact residing at the shelter. And hopefully that will cause them to at least let us know whether she's there. If they can't tell us whether she's there or not, a bench warrant's not going to do a whole lot of good if we don't know where she is. I don't have a problem issuing a bench warrant, although normally I like to make sure I've got service on a parent letting them know that failure to appear can result in issuance of a bench warrant. I'm not sure she's ever gotten any notice at all of anything because she's disappeared.
Your Honor, I did.
Going on.
I'm sorry.
No,
Bless you. Go ahead, Ms.
I
McGinn.
did speak to her before the first court hearing that we had, and I did inform her that when she told me, that's when she told me that she was living in a shelter, and I did inform her that we do have a court date, and that a bench warrant would be put out for her if she didn't show, and then she didn't show to the first one either. And then I haven't been able to have contact with her. So I did inform her that that was an option or a possibility.
All right, so which shelter is this?
She said that she was in the homeless shelter in Charlotte, Michigan.
All right, I will issue a bench warrant. We will see if we can get Charlotte Police or Sheriff's Department to do a welfare check on the children at the homeless shelter. If she's not there, they will certainly report to us that she's not there. If we don't know where she is, there's not a whole lot I can do. But let's try that. We'll put well, I'm just going to hold off rescheduling another pretrial until we can get service of a bench warrant.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay, let's see. I see Mr. Hotchkiss and Mr. Williamson are back, so let's go back on the Williamson Dowell minors. Mr. Hotchkiss.
Your Honor.
What is your client's? I know he wanted to address the court. I thought it would be better that he speak with you before that happens.
Certainly, Your Honor. Your Honor, I think my client's a little unsure of what's going on today, and the purpose of today's hearing, quite frankly, I am as well. Indicates to me that he is the legal father of Lucian Williamson. He's on the birth certificate. He's reviewed the petition. Indicates there are no allegations related to him in the petition. I have not had an opportunity to review any of the paperwork, so I'm not exactly sure where we're at with this, but if the agency has filed a petition, and I'm not even sure if this is the inquiry hearing, I assume it is, then obviously my client and I would need to review the petition before we know how to go forward. But there doesn't appear to be any impediment to him having placement of his child. He currently has 3 other children in his home. He lives with his wife. One of those children is a stepchild, and 2 other children are his biological children. And so neither he nor his wife have any prior CPS issues whatsoever. So without further information, that's about all I can offer the court at this time.
Mr. Hotchkiss, I'll be happy to send you all of the paperwork related to this case. Part of the confusion was whether or not your client had been adjudicated on previously, and I believe he was in January of 2020. I found a court order that stated that. I believe that's what the court is looking for right now, perhaps.
I was looking at the petition, and it does allege that Mr. Williamson has had no contact with this child since the child was age 1. And typically that results in a finding that he's not provided proper care and custody of the child and wasn't available to provide proper care and custody at the time of removal. So I'm reasonably certain that would have been, if he was adjudicated, that would be the basis he would have been adjudicated on. There aren't any other more specific allegations other than he was unavailable.
If Ms. Tucker, if you could forward me that petition, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
And the order of adjudication as well. Let me know if you have trouble finding that. I'm sure we've got it here.
Okay.
All right.
I know
So we can, once you get that information, Mr. Hotchkiss, if you would like to request an early review hearing to address your client's standing with the child, we can certainly do that.
Oh, thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. With that in mind, I think.
If I may interject one last time, I promise.
Oh, go ahead.
The drug screening results we did receive back. Ashley indicated that a couple months ago she had smoked marijuana. She did test positive for marijuana. So it was more recently than 2 months ago, most likely. And we're just requesting to have random drug screens implemented by court order. On top of all of the other concerns, we're just a little concerned that substance may be an issue, as well as everything else. I don't have anything.
I think under the circumstances that random screens are appropriate. Hopefully we can prove that there isn't a problem.
Thank you.
Judge, can I address that?
Certainly.
You know, it looks like the decision's already been made, but her having a couple puffs off of marijuana is no different than her having a beer. If she was using hard drugs, then I would say that's within the offing. But there's never been a concern that she has been under the influence or anything of that nature. I just don't get it. If she comes back positive for marijuana, that she took a couple puffs, what's that telling us? Nothing. That she had what's akin to a beer.
And if all that ever shows up is occasional marijuana, I'm less concerned with that, Mr. Brown. But let's just make sure often marijuana is a step to more serious problems, and we've got enough problems in this home without adding to them.
Thank you.
So our next scheduled review hearing will be August 17th at 8:45. Again, subject to Mr. Hotchkiss, once she's up to speed on the case, asking for an early hearing so we can address Mr. Williamson, who is now available and obviously has got a right to be heard in this courtroom. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And let's see, next ed neglect is Jayshawn Loving. And let's see, Mr. Kelly's LGAL on this one. Even though we've not been able to make contact with the parents, Ms. Richardson did make contact with the school, and looks like his attendance has improved significantly since the last hearing. He's only missed 2 days of school since then. And based upon that improvement, Mr. Kelly, it's you. The recommendation is that this case be closed. Ms. McGinn, you support that recommendation?
I do support it, Your Honor.
Any objection, Mr. Kelly? You can shake your head. All right, I will terminate or dismiss this petition. Okay, next up, Evelyn Peterson. And let's see, I've got Charlene Peterson in the waiting room. Let me bring her in. Okay. If there was a report on this file, I don't appear to have it. Let me see. Let me make sure. Ms. Peterson, can you hear me? It looks like her image is frozen. I can't tell whether we've got an audio connection or not, but it's, oh, here we go. Something happened.
Your Honor, this was set for a prelim today.
Oh, this is a prelim. I'm sorry. That's why. I didn't realize. Okay. So try to get a good connection here. Does someone have Mom's phone number? Maybe I could try. Let me look at the petition. Maybe I've got it. There is a phone number. Let me try to contact that. We're having trouble making a connection with her.
Can you hear me now?
I heard something there. Ms. Peterson, it shows that you're muted. Can you unmute? Yeah, we don't have a connection. If you can hear me, ma'am, I'm going to try to dial your phone. Please answer it.
Yes, sir.
And it didn't go through. Let's try again.
I might have to jump off the Zoom in order to answer the phone.
I can hear you now, so let's just try that.
Okay.
Okay. So this is the matter of Evelyn Peterson. And let me take a quick peek at this petition. It appears that the child is placed out of home. Where is the child placed?
Child is placed at Gail's house in Kalamazoo. Residential placement.
So this is a dependency petition. I didn't notice that until just now. Okay, and let's see, Mr. Kelly is LGAL on this one. Looks like there's been some domestic violence in the home. It appears that Charlene has been violent towards, I'm sorry, Evelyn has been violent towards Charlene. So I'm always a little bit curious about probable cause issues when we've got a dependency petition. really don't have somebody, well, I guess maybe. Mr. Kelly, are you able to waive probable cause?
I would if I can. I mean, the petition screams dependency, Your Honor.
Seems to me a waste of time to spend some time making a probable cause determination with a petition that's as clear as this one. Clearly this family needs help. Clearly Evelyn needs help to try to address the behaviors that are creating the problem. It looks like I may have lost the mother. Let me try that phone number now again. Looks like we lost her.
Hello?
Is this Charlene Peterson?
Yes, it is.
Okay, looks like we were having some trouble getting connected on Zoom, but if you're okay with it, I'm okay with you participating by telephone.
That's okay with me too, sir.
Okay, so I can see from the petition that it's reached a point where you can no longer safely keep Evelyn in your home because of her behaviors, correct?
Yes. This is definitely has become to that point.
All right, so this is what we call a dependency petition. It's when we have a child that's basically beyond the control of a parent, and in this case, particularly creating danger for other members of the household. What happens is what's called a dependency petition is initiated, which ultimately will allow me to take jurisdiction over Evelyn and get her whatever help that she needs to address these behaviors and hopefully get her back into a family-like setting if the behaviors can be safely moderated. In a dependency petition, parents are not respondents. In other words, they're not accused of any wrongdoing. It just simply allows me to step in and take jurisdiction. An attorney has been appointed to represent your daughter's best interests, and he's expressed a willingness today to waive a probable cause determination, which is a simple hearing for me to make sure that there's a basis for this petition. Certainly on its face, there is a basis. I am going to schedule the matter for a pretrial and a trial.
Okay.
The pretrial will be on June 22nd at 8:30. The trial, July 13th at 1 p.m. Typically, it's in a dependency, it's not much of a trial. I just take some testimony, make some basic findings, and hopefully move forward so that we can get address the behaviors. Did you have any questions for me today, ma'am?
Yes. Unfortunately, we got to the dependency petition because I really felt like I was backed into a corner. Now, there's been quite a few months we've been trying to get help, like the psychological testing that you get on Saturday in this place in Kalamazoo, and just housing, but that wasn't available until I started asking. I'm so sorry about that. I started asking about adoption, and then the last incident on her behalf happened, and I went to take her home from the hospital. So if she can get proper treatment, like I've been asked, the family has been asking for the school social worker and case manager is also with me in the waiting room, just in case you needed to talk to anybody. All we've been advocating for is Evelyn to get some help. Now, if we can find the right help, I have no problem bringing my baby back home with me. But we haven't been able to find the help we need in Jackson County through the court system, through CPS, through Lifeway, through therapy. And I finally got backed into this corner to where this is the only option that I had.
Well, ma'am, that's exactly what we do when I take over jurisdiction of a child, is I make sure that the proper services get ordered, and the goal is always to try to reunify the child in the home. So I'm sorry it had to get to this point, but at least now you're at a place where something can be done.
Yeah, I feel safe talking to a judge about everything right now because I've been asking since 2016 to really see somebody about this case.
Was Evelyn adopted?
No.
So she's your natural child?
Yes.
Well, let's move forward. So I'm scheduling it for a pretrial and a trial. You'll get notice and be able to participate in every proceeding. You'll be able to weigh in on whatever services the court ultimately orders, which typically are those that are recommended by the agency.
Okay.
I don't typically appoint attorneys for non-respondent parents, and you are what's considered a non-respondent parent because you're not being accused of any kind of neglect. So I don't know if you were present and were able to hear. Where is Evelyn currently placed?
She's in Gail's house in Kalamazoo.
And what exactly is, and I'm asking the worker now, ma'am, what exactly is Gail's house?
So it's a residential placement, and they're able to help address her behaviors. Like Miss Peterson Adams mentioned, they had a psychologist there Saturday to assess Evelyn's behaviors, and they're going to help her with those behaviors.
How's Evelyn doing so far?
I have not spoke with the worker, but that's something I'm going to check into and see how she's doing.
All right. Well, let's hope that she does well and that they're able to get to the bottom of these behaviors and get her back into a safe place. So our trial will be June 22nd at 8:30. I'm sorry, our pre-trial will be June 22nd at 8:30, and the trial will be July 13th at 1 p.m. All right.
Okay, and I have talked to the place that she's in, and they said that she's been doing really well since they took her off the Tocamix.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that.
I just wanted to let you know that I have had contact with them.
I appreciate that, ma'am. Thank you for letting me know.
You're very welcome.
All right, we'll see everyone back here for the pretrial. Have a good day, everyone.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. And let's see. Like the next case I have up is Lucas Franstead, and my apologies to everyone. I've got to take a very short break. I'll be right back. Oh, that's at 1 o'clock? Oh, I'm sorry. Sounds like we're done for the morning. I've got a Kylie in the waiting room. Anybody have any idea who that is?